Welcome to the Everything After podcast. I'm Rob, and my guest on this episode is a young, up-and-coming musician, Jack Lutz. He's an Ohio native who I recently saw perform as the opener for the band I Don't Know How, But They Found Me, fronted by another talented artist named Dallon Weekes. Let's watch a little bit of Jack's set and stick around for my one-on-one conversation with him. I saw Jack here a few weeks back playing at the House of Blues in Cleveland, opening for the band I Don't Know How, But They Found Me. And I was just really kind of blown away. My first reaction was, man, this kid can really cook on that guitar.
Thank you so much.
Like you just went into solos and it was just brain melting. Some of the stuff you were doing on the guitar. I was like, man, this kid is good.
Oh, well, the world. Thank you so much.
I gotta find out more about this guy. So I think they introduced you at the show as Cleveland's own, but you're really are you from Columbus actually?
Yeah. I'm from about 30 minutes east of Columbus, from Heath, Ohio. And then I actually just graduated from Baldwin-Wallace University. And so I've been mostly up here the last 4 years, and I actually renewed my lease to stay in the area. So, yeah.
Well, man, you're talented. I can tell you, you're like, what, 21, 22?
Yeah, 22.
22. You look like you're 14, I think, sometimes. I don't know.
Thank you.
That's a compliment. Yeah. But you are super talented. Did a little bit of reading up on you. Tell me if I'm wrong, because, you know, it's not everything you read on the internet isn't true, right? But you grew up singing with your dad. Is that right?
I grew up going to, like, concerts with my dad.
Yeah.
Doing mostly, actually, like, 80s hair metal.
Yeah. Was your dad a musician?
No, he's just been a big music fan. So I have an older brother, and he's 36. And so when my brother was young, he got him in bass lessons. And then when I was young, he got me in guitar lessons. And
6 years old, you started taking guitar lessons?
Yep. Back in, I guess I was 7, 2010.
Wow,
so
that's
I just
incredible.
turned 7. I got my first guitar when I was 6, though. So, yeah.
That's cool, man. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Did you study music at BW?
Yeah, I just graduated with a music business degree. Yeah, and then I spent my first 3 semesters, I was a double major with music composition too. And
You look so natural on stage. I know you've done a little bit. You've gigged around. You've opened for some pretty impressive bands too, right? I want you to tell me a little bit about that. I saw you open for Weedus at one point. Some bands like Sponge, I think you opened for, right?
Yep.
IDK How. You've opened for some pretty cool acts. Tell me about what's that experience been like for you?
Oh man, it's been so cool. Like I'm just like as you could guess, like I'm just a huge music fan. Like I've collected CDs since middle school, and I've really grown to love just all pop rock kind of music. When I started this solo project, it had been I had a few different friends that have been in bands, and they've gotten to open up for famous bands. And I kind of had trouble with like getting like a band started. I had a high school band, but we just gigged mostly around our local area. Didn't play even in Columbus that much. Um, but and then I went to college, tried starting a band, and just couldn't get anything off the ground. And then sophomore year, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try singing and do my own solo project. And then I released Halos March 31st, at the very end of that school year. And I told myself I'm going to make a goal where I'm going to go back to Columbus. We're going to play shows under my new solo project. And by the end of the summer, I'm going to open up for my first big artist. And so I set out to a ton of different shows, just like anything that was like pop rock, and got a ton of rejection. But there was one show that was at like 100-person venue that was like this obscure England group that I thought I like had a legit shot at, because I figured nobody was gonna really send in for. And then I like waited for like 2 months to get an answer, and then I got rejected, and I was like so disappointed. And then on a whim, I just sent in for Weedus, and they played at the basement. What is about 250, 300 capacity. And then, no joke, like 2 weeks later, I got an email. It was like, hey, we just want you to open. They picked you out of the group of artists. And
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
what? And yeah, so it was like surreal. And one of the coolest things was it was the day before I moved back to school. So I met my goal for the summer. And yeah, and so.
It was meant to be, dude.
Thank you. And yeah, so it was just.
Weedus is great. Of course, everybody knows Teenage Dirtbag. That's just such an iconic song.
Yeah. Oh man, they were the nicest guys too. Yeah, it was great. And then opening for Sponge was super fun. My dad like raised me on Sponge, like put it on my first iPod Touch back in like first grade and or third grade. And then so it was cool landing that one. That one I found out was super last minute too. They actually picked another opener. And so I just figured, oh, they picked somebody else, time to move on. But then they wanted to get two openers, and then I found out like 10 days before. So it was pretty cool. And it lined up right on Thanksgiving break. So
You're gonna make me feel like an old guy here. Your iPod Touch you got in first grade. I didn't get an MP3 player until I was in college. Freshman college. So, jeez, dude.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, it's just fun. I get such a I just love the chase of trying to like open for national acts. And so I love to just, because one thing that I have that's definitely beneficial of being a solo artist is basically every show I play I have a different band live. I usually swap between like the same few guys, but basically I can, unless it's something on a night that I know I have something huge on, I can just send in for it, and then if I get it, I can figure it all out once I get it.
Right.
Who's playing, and there's been a few instances where I got to open shows where they didn't want a full band; they just wanted like me on stage with backing tracks. That was like open for 24K Golden in Ann Arbor, and that was that case. And so it's got me to be like very flexible with like my
very nimble, ready to go at a moment's notice. You get a shot at something, and you're just boom, you're there. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and so I just have fun chasing it, and yeah, I love it.
Well, I think you have a great sound. Like I mentioned, your guitar prowess, your sound, your vocal though, like you've got sort of a classic crooner kind of sound to your voice. It takes you back a little bit. I mean, you got almost a Bublé or a like Harry Connick Jr. kind of sound to your voice sometimes, I think. And I wrote a review about your IDK Hal show. I'm kind of nerding out over the fact that IDK Hal got a band name from Back to the Future. So I kind of wrote this really nerdy review about how it was time travel kind of show, and it just sort of felt that way in a lot of ways. But I could picture you playing that Enchantment Under the Sea dance, and just wailing on guitar like Marty McFly, and just playing some of those old classic crooners. Do you have several singles out? Do you have a full album out, Jack?
I have an EP. I released an EP last summer that's 5 songs, but other than that, yeah, I just have singles. I think I'm up to about like 12 songs out now. Yeah.
Sounds like an album length right there. Are you going to put out a full?
Like you said, I'm kind of going for like this 50s, 60s kind of crooner kind of thing right now. And so I've like kept tossing back and forth whether it's like the next era in my music, because my first 4 singles were very like early 2000s pop rock inspired. Every time I think I'm gonna move to something else, then I like start coming up with another crooner song. So yeah, if I keep it up enough, I would love to do a full album of that kind of style.
Yeah, you're young too. You got a lot of love songs. You got a couple sort of breakup songs too. Heartbreak Season's a great song, but like it makes me laugh because it's not a sad song. It's about heartbreak, but it's a peppy song. It made me think a little bit of the joke that, Eddie Murphy used to talk about Elton John singing. I guess that's why they called it the blues, and it sounded so peppy and so happy. I think you're maybe too young to write these really deep pain songs about heartbreak. Heartbreak's still, kind of whimsical to you.
With one of my best buddies from school, his name's Gideon Temple. He's in a duo with his brother, who's also one of my best friends, named Hank Temple. They go by the Temple Brothers, and we both went through breakups like the same week. And so we're just like, and we're both always like very high energy people, and we're just gonna write a song about it, even though it sounds happy. And so we wrote most of that song in an hour and a half. Well, I'm usually a person that it takes me forever to write a song, so that one was a fun one. And we recorded that. I released it last summer, but we recorded it 2 summers before.
Yeah, that's a great song. That should be on the radio right now. It's really good.
I appreciate that.
I really like Star-Crossed Lover a lot too. You played that at the show, and that's a great live show song. I think the crowd was really vibing on that one.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been cool. That one like was one of the tracks where like I didn't think of it to be like one of the standouts of the 5, but now it's like, of the people that like listen, my listeners, it's like starting to like be one of my most listened to. I think it's my number 3 most listened to song now. So it's kind of caught a little fire, what's been really cool to see.
Yeah, I feel like it's a live song. So I think people probably hear you play it live, and it just sounds really good live. So maybe that's where you get some traction on it. That's really cool.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
And you played a Beatles song at this IDK House show, which I thought was just bold and very interesting choice, but I thought you nailed it too. Because like I said, you got that kind of classic sound anyway, and I thought you really nailed it. You played I Want to Hold Your Hand, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Now, when you mix in songs into your sets, like a lot of people will mix in covers and things like that, but most people don't mix in covers of bands that, were really hot 40 years before they were born. So what do you usually lean on when you're mixing in some covers and stuff as you're working out your new material, your originals as well?
Yeah. So like my philosophy has always been like um when I'm doing these shows, especially that like there's a lot of people in the audience that like don't know who I am. I love to throw like a song like basically everybody knows in the very middle of the set because a lot of people be like, "Oh yeah, this is interesting." They'll be locked in for a few songs, and then about halfway is when their like attention starts to wane, and that kind of brings everybody back in when you do a song like everybody knows. And so, I had been during just like the pop rock, I was doing, ironic, I'm wearing sweatshirt, but was doing Year 3000 by the Jonas Brothers. What like my generation is all the people that grew up with the Jonas Brothers TV show and everything. And so everybody just would love it. And then when I went to really do this more like crooner era, I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, what's a good song that like everybody in the audience would know? And I first went to like an Elvis song, but there was just like nothing that I thought really was hitting directly how I wanted to hit in my set. And then I just was like, oh, I guess about everybody knows I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles. And actually at BW, all 4 years I was in a Beatles cover band. Um, where we did like a Beatles album front to back. And so yeah, I'm just like, I'll just bring that one out. And I tested the waters with it at one show and people loved it. And so I've just been like playing it a lot since.
Could see you in a Beatles cover band. I think that's cool. Yeah, I think
Thank
you'd
you.
fit right in with that. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it was the my bass player, he was like the music director of it actually. Him and I, that's kind of how our friendship started was the mutual love of the Beatles music. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
What would you say some of your other influences are? I know you mentioned Jonas Brothers from this more in your era, that wheelhouse. Some of the older Beatles, of course. Who else would you say are real influences on your sound?
Yeah, in terms of like super modern artists, the artist Steven Sanchez,
Okay.
uh, he I he released his first album in 2023. He's like 3 months older than me, and he had a massive song in 2021. I think it like even surpassed the 1 billion stream mark on Spotify. It's called Until I Found You. But his like whole album is like a throwback to the 50s, and that's like what inspired me. Actually, it's funny enough, I my roommate, who was actually at the time is the guy that played keyboard for me, Ty. He was a huge Steven Sanchez fan, and for his birthday, like 5 months in advance, I bought him and I tickets to go see Steven Sanchez, and um, it was like more. He was more like indie folk at the time, and then it ended up being the tour for his first album. He just hadn't announced it yet. And then the first album was like all 50s, or it's like all like Elvis rock and roll. It's like a total 180. And it was at the House of Blues, and we went. And I didn't really, I knew his big song, but I didn't know anything else. And I was just like, this is the type of music I want to make. And so then I literally went, bought bought an old 50s Gretsch guitar. Well, it was like, I think it's a 2000s model, but it's like a kind of 50s-ish guitar. And then wrote If Only We Could Last Forever, and that kind of started my like 50s thing. So, and he's just been a big influence on me. Um, yeah, I've seen him live 3 times now.
Have you met him?
No, I wish. Apparently, the last time I saw him was at Jacobs Pavilion last summer, and apparently he like stayed and met a ton of fans afterwards. And I've been like kicking myself since. And that was like right at the time I released that EP too, and I'm like, man, I could have like showed it to him, but and then actually like I don't know how the Brobecks and like Panic at the Disco, anybody in like that circle have been like massive influences on me since late middle school. And so being able to open for Dallon, and I don't know how, it was like such a surreal dream come true. He's been one of the people that have like inspired me to become a songwriter.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And
Did
then other than
you
that,
get to hang with Dallin at all?
yeah, yeah, it was actually really cool. Because sometimes it's like This was by far the biggest venue I've ever played, and so usually the when I get the chance to like open for a band, there's only like one green room, and obviously the main act gets the green room, and we kind of just have to hang out the entire time and just sit our cases to the side. What's obviously cool, and so a few of the times I've opened, the people have like invited me back and we've like hung out the entire time. A few I haven't really talked. I didn't really get to talk to them too much, and everybody I've opened for has been incredibly nice. Um, but I don't know how guys they would like. We literally stood and talked like throughout the whole night, and like they had me and the guys come in their dressing room. We hung out. They would pop in our dressing room, and like I look over during my set, and two of the four guys were hanging out in the wings watching the set, and but then the other two are watching it on the TV. So it was so cool. They were the nicest guys. And yeah, we literally after the show for about 15 minutes just all hung out and just talked, and it was really cool. It was really cool. Yeah.
Get any kind of stage fright or any kind of starstruck or anything like that?
Yeah, well, anytime I like get an open for somebody, I'm like incredibly nervous, and I'm just like saying thank you after every sentence because I'm just like, I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to be here. And yeah, and it was like it was one thing that was really cool during my sound check. We ran my song Monkey, and and that's one of the songs I have like a long solo in. And then we were playing through it, and then I turn around to look at the drummer like during my guitar solo in the middle of the song, and then Dallon's just like standing behind him, and I was instantly like, "What?" And, and so then I'm like, and then after the song, he's just like, dude, I don't want to hold you guys up, but I just want to say this song is awesome. And I'm like, bro, that means so much coming from you. And I was like stumbling over my words. But yeah, to this point now, I'm like, I don't get too much really any stage fright at all. I get like a rush, like an adrenaline rush. That's it's more so that it's like I'm ready for the show to happen kind of thing.
Right. I
And
was
like
going to say, if you did, it didn't show at that HOB show because you had such great energy throughout and you were interacting with the band too when you were doing your guitar solos and things. It had a whole great vibe to it, the entire thing. I thought it was just
oh well,
excellent.
thank you.
A great job.
Thank you.
So, did you
Yeah.
say that was the biggest crowd you've played before, the House of Blues
Yeah.
crowd?
Yeah, definitely. Trying to think when I opened for 24K Golden, that show was sold out, and it was I think at like a 300 person venue. And I think that before had been like the biggest crowd I'd played for. So yeah, this one
Yeah.
was pretty cool to see that many people in front and from the stage. And like House of Blues is like one of my like top three favorite venues to attend concerts at. And so it was so funny. The keyboardist and I had seen a ton of shows together at the House of Blues over our college experience, and we've always joked like, I really want to know what backstage looks like. And so it was pretty cool that we finally got to do that. Yeah.
Now,
So
Jack, I also read that you've done a little bit of in your music upbringing or your education that you've been behind the scenes at some of these local venues too. Did you used to work at like Jacobs and some other
yeah,
places?
yeah. I worked at the Agora for a little bit, um, and I helped out at one show at Jacobs. Yeah, I didn't work very long. I worked about I think I only worked like five concerts. Basically, for my major, we have to do three internships, and Kid Cudi did a music festival called Moon Man's Landing that was hosted at Jacobs, and then they also built like a second stage on that like lot. And they were reached out to the music business department and was like, "Hey, does anybody want to work this?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I did, and then they're like, "Hey, you're welcome to like work at the Agora too." And so I'm like, "Okay, I'll pick up like a few shifts." and they were kind of just like I could pick up shifts when I wanted to. I didn't have to be on the schedule. So I did that, and we kind of were like testing the waters with it to see if I wanted that to be my first internship. And then I ended up interning at Tragic Hero Records instead that next semester. Because I always like wanted to also work on like the label side of things. I've always found like music labels like really interesting, and so yeah, and then actually I just started back at Tragic Hero. I'm doing direct media and advertising. So I'm like we also have a studio there, so I'm like trying to find bands that are looking that either like don't have much music out or most of their music is like home recorded kind of things, and trying to get them into the studio and then also connect bands with like services so we can like CDs and vinyl and shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that for them if need be. So yeah, and I love doing that kind of stuff. I interned this entire last school year at Big Noise Music Group. Really cool label,
Yeah.
and I learned so much from them, that I've been able to like apply to my own music and my like promoting my own music, and it's been super fun. I love also working behind the scenes kind of things, and I love like a lot of my friends too like release music. My keyboardist, he's about to release an album of all his music, and my bass player at that show, he also writes and records and releases music. Actually, my bass player, his name's Joe Brown. He was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame artist in residence last summer. Yeah, and so sometimes they'll hit me up, "Hey Jack, we track some guitar on this," and I'm always super excited to do that. They track keys and whatnot, backing vocals on my stuff, so it's been pretty fun. We all just kind of play on each other's things, and yeah, yeah.
Sounds like you're getting a real rounded education in the whole music business. I think that's awesome, man. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm loving it. I've loved everything I've gotten to do at BW, so it's been fun.
Tell me a funny and or embarrassing story about playing a show or recording.
Let's see, man. Ooh, that's a tough one.
You haven't had
Knock on
any.
wood. I haven't.
Everything's gone super smoothly for you. You haven't had anything
It's
yet.
gone pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess after so the next day, when I played in Columbus at A&R Music Bar, I like came on stage and I have that like little track that starts up. It's like some dialogue from of James Dean from the movie Rebel Without a Cause, and uh, and it goes right into Heartbreak Season. My guitar wasn't plugged in fully, and then I'm like, for like half the song, maybe not quite half the song. I know I had it. I finally got it right at the first chorus. I was like freaking out because I had just plugged my guitar in during sound check, and I played first again at that show. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I didn't plug my guitar cable and all the way.
Yeah. Well, things can't go always like 100% as planned. You learn from the foibles and the trials and tribulations as much as you learn from the stuff that goes right. So I know there'll be more of that for you in your future, and you'll learn a lot more from that. Not that I'm
Yeah,
wishing anything ill on you, but you will face some of these things and they will make you
yeah,
better for it.
absolutely.
What's
Yeah,
next for you, man? We talked about you got 12 songs out now. It's time to put an album together for sure. And
yeah,
then what are you planning to do with everything after? You're looking for um, gigs, and
yeah,
are you going to
yeah.
go out? Are you planning on touring anywhere outside of Ohio or anything like that in the near future?
I would love to. Yeah, I've literally only played one out of state show ever, and it was opening for 24K Golden at in Ann Arbor, and yeah, um, I really want to try to like my next big goal for myself. My two big goals for me this year at the beginning of the year was to play a stage of either House of Blues or the Newport in Columbus. So I got the House of
Got
Blues.
that. Check.
So, yep. And then my other one was I want to open part of like a national tour, if not a whole thing. Even if it's just two dates. I want to play at least two shows on a tour. I think that would be pretty cool. And yeah, and then I actually just booked studio time to record another song. I've been writing. Um, in July 20th is when I'm planning to go back into the studio, record another song. And then I want to get two songs recorded by the end of summer. I just now started another one that I think's um, once I really spend some time with it, I think I can get it ready by the end of summer. Uh, and yeah, my goal is at least four songs released this year. But I already have one. This front half, I've just played a ton of shows, and from the end of last year to now, and I'm planning to take most of the summer off playing shows. I've never been one to like play a ton of shows, but I'm I'm trying to only do like one or two shows this summer, um, and just focus on recording. Yeah, I'm just having fun with it. Now I'm gonna have to adjust because some of my best buds just moved away because school being over. So got to find a few new bandmates. But that shouldn't be too hard. I also work at School of Rock teaching guitar lessons.
Oh, do you? That's
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
and so I've been connected with some cool musicians that are all like around my age too, and that love to play in a ton of different bands. So figure become closer with some of them, and I'll get a new band together quick. So yeah, so that's kind of what I have planned. You know, continuing to send in and try to open shows, and you know, playing with more bands in the local scene. And yeah, just trying to see what else is out there.
Yeah. Now, do you feel like you fit better just overall as a solo artist that can kind of be flexible, move around different bands? Or do you feel like at some point you might link up in a more sort of permanent band situation?
Yeah, that's funny you bring that up because I've always viewed myself as a band person because I like get really inspired with collaborating with people. And that was the thing with college was everybody has just like schedules that are wild. And each major kind of has their different like schedule set up a day. Like one major that I have a ton of friends within, they're like all their nights are like packed always. And my nights were free, and it was just like we couldn't get a band together. Everybody in on it and regularly practice. But then and that's one thing I was hesitant to start a solo project too, because I'm like, I wouldn't have as much fun by myself. But then I realized, like, you know, even our schedules being so tight, I can get one friend do to play bass on this song. I can get a different friend to even do a collab song with me on this song. And it's it's a lot less of a commitment, and it's cool because I'm one thing I'm most proud of my solo project is almost every song I have out has a totally different lineup of people playing on the track. So that's kind of how I like offset my want to be in a band. Uh, because that was one thing I was also like overwhelmed when I first came to BW because I'm like, there's like 30 people here I want to be in a band with. Like, how do I how do I pick and choose, you know? And so this has been kind of like the way of doing it. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, like you're young and got plenty of time to play the music field, so to speak. Lots of band members in the sea
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
can learn from, that you can collaborate with. Sounds like a good way to do it to me. That's great. We talked a little bit before this about you maybe playing a song at the end of this, which I thought would be cool if you wanted to do something. Maybe
Yeah.
grab a guitar,
Mhm.
maybe demonstrate a little bit of those guitar skills we were talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Cool.
Sick.
I want
Yeah.
to ask you a question while you're setting up there. Do you have super fans yet, Jack?
So it's cool. I have I have some friends that are like super into the music to the point where they sing all the words back to me basically. And so that's one thing I've been thankful of. I've met a lot of friends through this solo project that have become some of my closest friends, and that's been cool. That's been cool.
Do you want to
And
shout out anybody in particular that's been to every show, that's always in the front, that's always singing back, that gives you that energy? You want to shout anybody out before you play?
definitely my parents,
Yeah.
because they come to. I bet you they've came to almost every single one of my shows as a solo artist. And especially my mom, because she like flexes her schedule around my shows. So my mom's a fifth grade teacher, and literally, and mind you, in Columbus, and a lot of my shows I've been playing when I'm uh, up here is in Cleveland, and so even the I don't know how show, it was literally that day was her last day of school, and so she was like, "Oh man, like I can't take the day off because it's the last day of the school year." But she still like was determined to come to the show, and she came to the show and brought one of the other fifth grade teachers with her.
That's cool.
And yeah, and that's one thing she will like, even when she tells me she's not going to be there, she will surprise me most of the time, and make the drive up to Cleveland, and then literally drive back, get home at 1 in the morning, and then get up and go to work at 7:30. So
Well,
it's
if your mom's
cool.
not your super fan, then I mean, who who is, right? But
Exactly.
that no, I think that's great.
It's been cool. It's been really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Their
man.
support through all these years has meant the world to me, and I couldn't have done it without them for sure.
Now, do your parents, do they have you come and play for the fifth grade, or come and play at the
Yep.
school auditorium sometimes whenever they
Yep.
need anyone? You're the guy, right?
So literally so the week of I don't know how, that Monday, I went and played for her class and all the other different fifth grade classes. So yeah, yeah. So I usually stop in maybe once a semester, and then my dad is a teacher too, but he retired about 4 years ago, and so I would pop into his school every once in a while and do kind of after school events that they had, when they would kind of just want like an acoustic set in the back corner. So I would do that too. So yeah, it's been fun. And
Those
then it
kids are
was
going to
also
remember that, man. You're going to be big and playing,
uh,
Jacobs and all the amphitheaters at the stadiums and everything. And they're going to be like, man, that guy came and played for my fifth
I
grade
appreciate
class.
that. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's fun. I love doing those kind of gigs too.
Yeah.
One thing that's really painful with it though is like I pull out a song like the year 3000 by the Jonas Brothers, like that I don't think's that old, and none of the kids know it. And I'm
You're
like,
playing the
oh
oldies
man,
now.
yeah. I'm like, now I know what everybody's talking
Yeah.
about feeling
Yeah.
old. But yeah,
Yeah. Play them some Beatles.
exactly, exactly. The one thing the one that's still working is "I Want It That Way" by the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were all singing along to that when I played it, and I'm
All
like,
right.
okay, at least I know one song that they know.
All right.
But
That's
yeah,
where we are. That's where we are as a society today, I
yeah,
guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's about as far back as we go.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah, for real. Yeah, oh my
Cool.
goodness.
So, Jack, what are you going to play?
Yeah, we'll do. I talked about it a little earlier. We'll play one of the first songs I wrote since I have my acoustic, and the song is primarily on acoustic. We'll do my song "Monkey."
Awesome. Yeah.
Sick. Here we go. Sitting on the mountainside, dressed up in city lights that glow. I'm staring out the window, and I've been seeing lots of things like I'm giving all my dreams on a board. But I might in time tomorrow if I get this monkey on my back. Then maybe I can build something nice. But I can't find a home. Maybe I'm better off alone. And I don't care what you're taking me for. No, no, no. I've been staying up too late and wasting my whole day with the same song on replay. It's such a shame, well, I don't want to say that I'm the one to blame, but now I'm switching lanes and I'm headed several ways from this face to face. Yeah, what if I waited too long? Oh, I may be starting to rip my whole soul apart, and there's a rain. I can't seem to be the same. I've been mixed up and rearranged. I hitting all these bright lights. Arms that break, but I'm keeping saying my time's being better spent in my mind. And I'm only working part-time if I get this monkey on my back. Then maybe I can build something lies. But I can't find a home. Maybe I'm better off alone. And I don't care what it's gonna take me for. No, no, no. I've been staying up too late. And wasting my whole day. The same song on replay. It's such a shame. Well, I don't want to say that I'm the one to blame. But now I'm switching lanes. And I'm heading separate ways from this masterpiece. Yeah, but if I waited so long, I maybe start and rip myself apart. There's a rain.
Man, that sounded great. Really good. Really good.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for doing the podcast. It's really fun talking to you, getting to hear your story, getting to hear about your musical education that you're going through. I wish you the best. I think you're off to a great start, and I expect big things from you.
Thank you so much. No, it meant the world. You came to the show, wrote that really nice article, took all those pictures and videos, and now having me on this is awesome.
Going back again. This is where we began. Again. But it takes to grow longer throughout the night. You're constantly trying to prove you're right. And when I was worried, you weren't concerned. But once again, the tables have turned. You say you're going away. You won't, time and time again. But the ship's sinking down, and I'm falling on the ground now, and I don't know how, but I found my way out. In the rain and the fog, oh, where did I go wrong? No, going back again. This is where we began. Sinking down and falling on the ground now, and I don't know how, but I found my way out. In the rain and the fog, oh, where did I go wrong? Don't go back again. This is where we began. By the chance sinking down, and I'm falling on the ground now, and I don't know how, but I found my way out. In the rain and the fog, oh, where did I go wrong? Don't go back again.